Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could make it today on this Friday, the 15th of May. Right here. So we can see our sun sign is in, our moon sign is in Aries. Our sun sign is in Taurus, where it's been. So this is what we're dealing with, just like yesterday. Aries, Taurus, Taurus, Aries. So Taurus is telling us we need to hook the spiritual together with the physical. Aries is telling us we have to put things in order. Okay, that's the two things that are going about today. We've had most of the aspects that we're going to be seeing and dealing with today already taking place. Right after midnight, Jupiter got into the mix, and then Saturn. A little bit after that, Pluto squared Aries after 1, close to 2. Not too long ago, about an hour ago, Uranus and Aries were conjunct. And then pretty much things are kind of calm until, well, the rest of this evening. Things are just starting to subside. And as it gets to 8:49 tonight, we're going to be seeing that our moon sign is going to be in its last phase, getting ready to go in the new phase, and at 2 a.m. it will go into Taurus, the next sign. Alright, so that's what's going on astrologically for today. Again, you can get better idea of how it all looks on the grid or the wheel by looking at the wheel. Again, you see what's coming up here as far as the aspects and what has passed. So it's a very nice reference point. Jewish calendar today is 26 Liar. Omer day count 41, going to day 42, counting up to 49. So we're almost there. Next weekend we will be there. The daily thought for today is pull a rope. Pull a rope to see where it's connected. Tug it to see how tightly. So too your trust in God is the measure of your connection with Him. When life pulls you down, stay calm, strong, bound to your source above. That's pretty good. Kind of ties into the whole idea of hooking together, doesn't it? Hooking together the spiritual and the physical. That we're connected. So good, good, good. Waning moon, 9% of the way full. Making its way down to the new moon. This weekend we shall be there, Sunday. Solar wind is 530.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet, between a 2 and a 3. Coronal hole right in the middle. 18th and 19th, we're told we're going to get hit by this. M-class flare possibilities at 20, X-class at 5. Geomagnetic storm activity looks like it's subsiding in the mid-latitudes, dropping from 30 to 25, and the high latitudes dropping a little bit as well in the severe range. And up in the sky tonight, Friday, May 15th, Venus shines smack between Capella to its right and Procyon to its left. Alright, this will be the sky tomorrow night. Not tonight, but look up, you will see Venus. It's very, very bright these days. Almost so high up you can almost touch it. It's a little bit further than that. Just, figure of speech. Figure of speech in case anybody thought I had really long arms, because I don't have really long arms to touch the moon. But I move on now. UFO news is up next. See ya.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is it. This is the UFO News. Our first sighting is over a championship golf. UFO televised over championship golf, USA, May 5th, 2015. There's our object in question. It's not the golf ball. The UFO was caught when someone was watching TV and noticed a UFO shooting past the ball. Cameras always follow the ball, so they panned the sky and the UFO was noticed. There are some bright lights on the screen of the TV. I believe it's from the eyewitness recording the video with his cell phone pointed at the TV, and the lights from behind them are reflecting off of the TV screen. The UFO does not appear to be a reflection. It's solid and seems to move slower than the ball does. Alright. They must be interested in why humans like such boring games. It's funny. Alright, very interesting indeed. It's interesting how that reflection stayed there, huh? As well. Okay, very good. UFOs over golfing. Those UFOs, they're everywhere. Look at this one. This looks like a one that's trying to walk or something like that. Person catches alien walking in a trail in Budapest. Okay. The man submitting this report, who did not provide a name, says he was walking through the woods in the early afternoon of March 25th when he spotted an oddity standing in the middle of a trail. A bright sphere floated in front of him, he reported to MUFON. I took up my mobile phone and I did a photograph. The image shows a metallic spider-like object with 4 legs that appears to be holding a round, bright orange object. The man says he can't remember what happened after taking the photograph. I only know that the creature disappeared, wondering whether it was an alien. Image analysts tell Cryptozoology News that the picture was taken with a Samsung Galaxy S5 cell phone. On the data originally reported by the eyewitness, it does not initially appear to have been doctored with the image editing software such as Photoshop. It is not clear why the man did not record a video of the alleged object. Okay, but there's it. It is. Oh, yeah, there's like an orange thing right there. And then these are some really long arms. See, he has long arms. He might be able to reach up and touch the moon. But, you know, those are longer arms than what I have. Okay. Moving on. UFO sightings hovering the sky of Cordoba in Bahia, Bianca, Argentina. There's something mysterious in the sky. Last Saturday and Monday, 2 men recorded another strange, unidentified flying lights hovering at night. The videos have already been downloaded on YouTube and have gone viral because people used to seek out the truth about UFOs to bring a glimpse of the greater reality and lead to a better understanding of our existence. With just about 24-hour interval between them, these men are the residents from the cities Bahia, Bianca, and Cordoba, with a distance of over 800 kilometers. As they both aimed their cameras at the evening sky, strange luminous objects appeared and have been moving in an atypical manner. Taken by Jorge David Lazaret exactly at the core of Podorian district, the first video reveals a series of luminous objects that splits into 3 strange spheres, subsequently fading in seconds of what's behind, believed to be an explosion. The second video was taken by Alejandro Suarez of Bahia Bianca last Monday. Alright, and there you go. Moving on. This is an article over at UFO Digest from Norio Hayakawa. Amazing first-hand testimonials from Dulce, New Mexico families. In 2007, I was so fortunate to get to know the Arden Tafoya family who lives at the northwest area of town. I had gotten to know Arden, and while I was attending the UFO symposium in Aztec that year. During my 3 days of stay in Dulce at that point, in time, I obtained many new fascinating sightings, reportings, and many locals, again, particularly from the family I just mentioned and their relatives. On my second day of that stay in Dulce, the family invited me to their residence for a great meal. They also invited their relatives who were willing to describe to me in detail the strange experience they have had and even are having now. It was assuring to know that the family that I befriended were immediate relatives of high officials of the Jicara Apache tribe. Arden was one of the sons of the late Raleigh Tafoya, a highly respected longtime police chief of Dulce, way before Hoyt Velarde, who later became the director of the public safety and who detained us in 1990 when I brought a Japanese TV crew to Dulce. Arden's wife was an immediate family of the head of the Jakarta Apache Tribal Council at the time. Her sister-in-law had been a Dulce police dispatcher. My friend's wife told me that an incident whereby a huge silent data-shaped dark object emitting extremely bright light slowly passed over a group of 50 to 75, all relatives, on a mesa where they were celebrating a traditional Jicara Apache feast called a Coming Out Feast, a celebration for young boys and girls. The huge object appeared after sundown, an hour or so after the traditional meals had ended and after the shamans had completed their chantings and dances. They were simply stunned by the huge triangular craft hovering only about 200 feet or so above the campground. The entire area was lit up like daylight. What was more amazing was that after a few minutes of hovering over the area, it suddenly took off with tremendous gust of wind. Pots and pans were flying all over. Some of the people were also thrown off the vehicles. Fortunately, no one was injured, but panic spread. The generators failed to restart and all battery-operated appliances malfunctioned, including car radios. Another incident they recounted was a daytime sighting of a silver saucer-shaped object around 11 a.m., which hovered for 30 minutes near Highway 537, not too far from the junction of US 64 north of Lazar Lake. One relative also recounted an unforgettable sighting of a huge flying triangle near Highway 357 near J30, Tequila Road number 30, was some type of a darkening or cloaking device that almost appeared to have a transparent body. The object was described to have been close to half a mile in length, at least their visual perception. All right, a lot more to the story. We get the idea where it's going. Lots of good witnesses. Norio is a really great researcher. You've heard him on the show before. Here we go. UFO sightings in Canada are alive and well and very busy. Since 1989, ufology research in Canada has collected UFO sightings from active Canadian researchers, and each year has compiled it into an annual Canadian UFO survey and released it publicly in an attempt to promote the dissemination of information across the field of ufology. The 2014 report is now out, and it seems that contrary to some media reports, UFOs are certainly not dead. 2021 UFO sightings were collected in Canada during 2014, almost 3 a day, the third highest number of UFO sightings recorded in the last 25 years. Other interesting facts from the report summary are these. The top 5 metropolitan areas with the most UFO reports in order of highest are Toronto, Vancouver, Hamilton, Calgary, Montreal, and Edmonton. Although there has been a trend during the past 25 years of having more UFO reports received in the midsummer months, 2014 was exceptional in that it was a marked peak in UFO reports in the early fall. In fact, almost 17% of all those reports in 2014 came in September, well above the average of 9.5% for September during the past 25 years. In 2014, the average strangeness rating of UFO reports was 4.26, well above the 25-year average of 3.5, and above last year's average of 3.67. Strangeness measures the degree to which the UFO report is comparatively unusual. For example, a simple light in the sky being 2 or 3, and occupants observed landed outside a craft being about 8 or 9 on the strangeness scale. The rating reliability was similar up in 2014, suggesting more cases were of higher quality or being better investigated. Most UFO sightings, fortunately, are not well investigated, leaving the field wide open for speculation and sensationalism. More than 47% of all UFO sightings or of an object described as point source or star-like. The typical UFO sighting lasted approximately 13 minutes in 2014, comparable with other years. Okay, moving on from there. Growing up with the Men in Black, Rainbow Redelli over at UFO Digest. Somehow this has become quite the quandary to write about. I thought this would be easier than other topics in the past, but in the back of my mind the blurry memories, concealed and guarded by the child within, won't budge, basically revealing meager flashbacks. Loyalty is perhaps the problem here, or the understood dialogue of suppressed fears, along with stern consequences. One thing I do remember is that sometimes I was a willing pupil, and other times I was about as feral as an undomesticated barn cat, hissing with claws out. I remember 3 different types of these so-called Men in Black. Why this is so is really the million-dollar question. All 3 seem to serve a purpose that has nothing to do with one another. I wonder if they convene with each other. I think not. Sunglasses have always been important to me since I was a very young child. I like the feeling of hiding behind them, the obscure and the oppressive, apprehensive thoughts reflected in my eyes, hidden behind blackness. It's a comforting habit, and that has never left me. This blacker the lens, the more I like them. As crazy as it sounds, I've often thought that this is why the Men in Black wear sunglasses. One group hides their dark objectives, while another hides the fact that they invoke fear as a reminder of consequences. The last group seems to have a more obscure purpose in mind. To me, they are the real Men in Black because their frequency or vibe is not familiar or comfortable to be around. In some ways, I always preferred them to the other 2, who I call the imitators. Sometimes what a child doesn't understand is easier to handle when the familiar and nightmarish routine of brutality. The reality of inquiry can be a breaking point that shatters the conscious mind into fragments of a once balanced and unbroken psyche. When a child enters the equation, the end results are usually surreal, because reality acquires an off-kilter sentiment that makes daily living seem like a divergent existence. There's a reason for this contradictory life, and I think its creation is, by varying family dynamics, the kind that stipulate children should be seen but not heard. The most memorable and startling experience as a kid that demonstrates this ideology was when I was 10 or 11 years old. One ordinary day, walking home from school, I encountered the infamous black car many people talk about seeing. In some ways, I feel lucky to have this memory. Weird, I know, but for some reason I don't think what I saw was the typical black car most people see when they experience the real Men in Black. Walking halfway through my neighborhood, I started to feel anxious. I felt them before they came upon me, and I knew that they had an unusual agenda that day. The car was quite beyond belief, so the only way I knew they pulled up beside me was by the horrendous feeling in my gut. The car itself was interesting, to say the least. It had a very long hood that extended out in front of it 3 feet beyond a regular car's hood. It was black with what seemed like silver detailing around the windows, front of the hood, tires, and the back of the car. Funny, I almost thought that they created an authentic cartoon car because it was so out of proportion. One long front door came swinging open, almost blocking my path. It was pitch black inside, almost like a vacuum of some sort that reminded me of total darkness, void of space and time. A voice that sounded humanoid and male called out to me and told me to get into the car. I felt the presence of 3 people in the car, even though I couldn't see them. Now, mind you, this happened in broad daylight around 1974-75. A few cars drove by, but the strange thing was nobody seemed to notice or look at the odd-looking car. I remember I had a premonition that very morning that something was up because I really didn't want to go to school that day. My instincts were right on the money, and I knew that I was in big trouble. In some way, I wasn't necessarily afraid of the 3 beings in the car. I was completely terrified of their intentions. They weren't the regular Men in Black that I remembered seeing in my past. Their intentions seemed to be more ominous by nature. I vaguely remember that there was a long arm stretched out towards me, and that's when I ran for my life. Literally, I was so flustered that I ran through the front doors of my parents' house. That's my mom had to calm me down, and I was talking a mile a minute, grasping for breath. I remember her looking at me at that exact moment, knowing that she didn't believe me. It was a stinking feeling because I knew I was ultimately and completely on my own. Fortunately, the car didn't return again, but that didn't matter. I was already traumatized, not so much because they had come around here, but because I was involved in a world that my parents didn't know existed. If you think about it, it was the perfect scenario for them to hide in plain sight. No one would know the better, and as far as my parents go, they never did. All right, there's a lot more to the article. Interesting read. I'm going to leave it for you. And the last piece here, George Knapp, Area 51, Flying Saucers, and Bob Lazar. So what we have here says investigative journalist George Knapp spoke at Exopolitics Denmark's conference in October 2014 at the Copenhagen, Denmark. The title of the presentation, Area 51, Flying Saucers, and Bob Lazar. 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 51 seconds is the length of this video. And you know what this is good for? Watching this weekend. That's right. Entertainment for this weekend. So there you go. That is our UFO news for today. I will jump away momentarily, and then I will be back. All right. And today's song is going to be Confirm or Deny. Here we go.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secretive. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives?
I can neither confirm or deny. Okay. Volcanoes are going off. Did you know that? Lots of volcanoes. I wanted to bring this to your attention so you know what's going on. 40 volcanoes erupting right now. 34 of them along the Ring of Fire. You may have not noticed, but our planet is becoming increasingly unstable. According to Volcano Discovery, 40 volcanoes around the globe are erupting right now, and only 6 of them are not along the Ring of Fire. If that sounds like a very high number to you, think it is, because it is a very high number. As I have written about previously, there were a total of 3,542 volcanic eruptions during the 20th century. When you divide that number by 100, that gives you an average of 35 volcanic eruptions per year. So the number of volcanoes that are erupting right now is well above the 20th century's average for an entire calendar year. So the average is 35 a year. We're already at 40. And of course, we are witnessing a tremendous amount of earthquake activity as well. Nepal was just hit by a worse earthquake that it had in 80 years. Scientists are telling us that the Himalayas actually dropped by an astounding 3 feet as a result of that one earthquake. How much more does our planet have to shake before people start paying attention? Of course, the things that we have seen lately are part of a much long-term trend. Seismic activity appears to have been getting shorter over the past few decades, and now things really seem to be accelerating. The following is how one news source recently summed up what we've been witnessing. It says, if it seems like earthquakes and erupting volcanoes are happening more frequently, that's because they are. Looking at the global magnitude, 6 or greater from 1980 to 1990, there was an average of 108.5 earthquakes per year. From 2000 to 2009, the planet averaged 160 per year. That's a 38.9% increase of M6 plus earthquakes in recent years. Unrest also seems to be growing among the world's supervolcanoes. Iceland, which is home to some of the most dangerous, Santorini in Greece, Laetitia in Bolivia, Yellowstone, and Long Valley Caladras in the U.S., Laguna de Mal in Chile, Italy's Campi Flegrei. Almost all of the world's superactive volcanoes are now exhibiting some signs of inflation, an early indication that pressure is building in these volcanic systems. But of course, most Americans are never going to care about them until it starts affecting them personally. Well, perhaps you should start paying attention to the warning signs. In recent weeks, there have been significant earthquakes in Michigan, Texas, Mississippi, California, Idaho, and Washington. In addition, it is being reported that pressure is building up in dormant volcanoes in Arizona and California. Just because we have not had a killer earthquake or a large volcanic eruption in the U.S. in recent years does not mean that it will always be that way. Right now, the entire planet appears to be waking up, and this especially seems to be true for the Ring of Fire. Okay? So that's what's going on. Earthquake season is upon us. And let's remember, there is a big movie coming out, so we may also hear within the news a bit more information about earthquakes and stuff, because there is that movie coming out on the 29th. What is it called? San Andreas. So there is propaganda that goes along with it. Not that the earthquakes don't happen. They do. But when an event comes in and a movie happens, sometimes there's additional propaganda that's out there. And sometimes it's good that a movie, though, brings ourselves to paying attention to what really is happening. All right? All right. Brother Nathaniel, I thought I'd throw another piece of his up for all of you Brother Daniel enthusiasts out there. You always want to know what's going on with him. So this is a piece called Russia Tips the Grand Chessboard. Let's hear what Brother Nathaniel has to say.
Everyone likes a winner, and Putin plays to win. The grand chessboard is in, and Putin's winning that too. Brzezinski said it, whoever gains Eurasia rules the world. And there's only one country that's truly Eurasian, and that's Russia. Russia covers 11 time zones in Eurasia. Russia is European on its west and Asian on its east. That's a whole lot of Eurasia. Russia spans and completes 2 continents. Sitting on top of Asia and joined with Europe on the west, it's poised to play the key role in creating a Eurasian alliance. It's already happening, and America's getting scared. Kerry and his Jewish policymaker, Wendy Sherman, just got back from courting Putin. How's that for a vote for us? For with China and Iran uniting with Russia as a rival bloc to America, Kerry and Sherman begged Putin to stop the sale of S-300s to Iran. Ain't going to happen. Putin's smile tells it all. Isolation and sanctions backfired. The Brzezinski doctrine that defies any challenger capable of dominating Eurasia is Russia's pie in America's face. The chessboard is being upended with a resurgent Russia tipping the board. No one trusts America anymore, and nations are lining up against it, with Russia at the head. Diplomacy is a forgotten word in America. It lives by the sword and is dying by the sword. Putin said it. Strong armed diplomacy doesn't work.
Однако в последние десятилетия все чаще стали игнорироваться базовые принципы международного сотрудничества. Те принципы, которые были выстраданы человечеством после глобальных испытаний войны. Мы видели попытки создания однополярного мира. Видим, как набирают обороты силовое блоковое мышление. Все это подтачивает устойчивость мирового развития.
But what is sustainable, buttressed by the weight of history, is what happened at the start of the V-Day parade. A remarkable incident indeed. Totally unprecedented, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu made the sign of the cross over himself, turning the ceremony into a sacred ritual. And the world, I mean a huge chunk of the international community, is tilting towards sacred Christian Russia. China's Silk Road will cross through Russia. India just signed a deal for Russia's nuclear technology. And Greece will have a Russian-funded hub to transport gas to Europe. According to Bloomberg, Investors are lining up at the starting gate for Russian bonds. It's a grand chessboard where blunders bend to brilliancy. Russia's tipping the board, and America's pieces are sliding off.
All right. Words of wisdom and insight from Brother Nathaniel. So that brings us to this next section here. You know what? I thought since it's Friday, I'd send us off before we get into our prayers and meditation that with a whole section and some links on some positive news. There's a lot of crappy news that goes on in the world, and I'm not really interested in hearing that all the time. Sure, it's important that we keep aware of it. We want to know what's going on, but we also want to know about the positive things because, well, really, that's more important and more fun. So here's a couple of sites that I thought might bring you lots of good news and information. First one's called Positive News. So let's just go through and review some of these headlines. New Zealand officially recognized animals as sentient beings. Sri Lanka, first nation to promise full protection of mangroves. 5 apps that will help you be a better citizen. World's first solar road, producing more energy than expected. Wasting less of Africa's harvest in order to prosper. 10 social ventures fighting for gender equality. Let's see here. We are all responsible for alleviating the poor, for poverty. The changing face of mental health in Lebanon. Happy cafes spreading positivity around the UK. Riding the waves of change around the world. A bright future for renewable energy storage. So you can hear these are all stories that, let's just take a look at one of these here. Riding the waves of change around the world. Seeking out people and organizations working towards environmental stability has always been at the heart of Emily Dunning's travels. She recounts her experiences, the lessons she has learned, and the inspiration behind her new website, Seek the Change. My career with United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, World Conservation Monitoring Center, is devoted to trying to create maximum positive impacts to help reverse some of the damage caused to the natural world. As a keen traveler and sustainability enthusiast, I wanted to find a way to combine these passions and make positive change. So I began a dream trip that would help facilitate engagement in environmental issues, create connections between people, and inspire them towards environmental sustainability. I traveled from UK to Hong Kong via the Trans-Mongolian Expressway and on to Japan and New Zealand, exploring 12 countries and meeting 67 people working on different environmental and social initiatives along the way. These span changing consumer behavior, embedding sustainability in schools, and supporting the creation of social enterprises. Okay? Very nice. And let's see here. I'm going to go to this other page I brought up for you. This is called Sunny Skies. It's also all about positive news. See, he tried to buy his late father's squad car, but was outbid by the kindest man who ever lived. All right, let's see what this is about here. Photographs and memories are all Tanner Brownlee had left of his father, the Denver police officer who lost his life in the line of duty in 2010. Last night, Tanner had the opportunity to claim one of his dad's prized possessions, but it didn't work out as he planned. The Weld County Sheriff's Office auctioned off the dad's Charger Wednesday night. The vehicle with 147,000 miles was being sold to raise money for COPS, Concerns of Police Survivors, an organization that provides services for survivors of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. Tanner started a GoFundMe page to raise money to bid on the squad car, but the bids reached $50,000. Tanner's limit had clearly come and gone. The car sold for $60,000 to a local rancher. Tanner didn't know Steve Wells before that night, but he won't be able to forget him now. All right. There's a little video here to accompany this story here. Okay, so I'm guessing that he probably got the car and then gave it to the kid. What else we have here? Restaurant customer secretly records an employee's incredible act of kindness. Let's see what this is here. A small act of kindness from an employee at a fast food restaurant has gone viral after a customer secretly recorded him helping a woman with disabilities to eat her food. Royal Corley's, who works at a Cordoba in Louisville, Kentucky, had gotten to know a customer with disabilities who visit the restaurants whenever she can. Dr. David Jones, the customer who witnessed the moment, said he didn't stop to think about, well, should I help her or should I not? He just went over, put the gloves on, and started feeding her. Jones was so moved that he recorded Corey's gesture so he could share it with others. There's a little video of that. It's 1 minute and 58 seconds. And let's see here. There we go. It's right over there, and he's feeding. Okay. All right, very nice. So, as you could see, there's all kind of positive news out in the world. We don't have to get stuck with all the crappy news. You know, a lot of great stuff going on out there each and every day. Here's one. Professor of the Year calms crying baby for embarrassed student and continues his lecture. You can see the teacher here holding the baby during the lecture. Woman throws ceremonial pitch, gets a surprise from the EMT who saved her life. Hospital throws America's oldest working nurse a surprise party on her 90th birthday. Well, that's something, a 90-year-old nurse. Okay, so there you go. Positive news, positive news. That's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. As you know, the last couple days I throw up the conspiracy things. I like to keep people informed, okay? I like to stay informed myself. But in the past, I've got obsessed and absorbed in it, and I know you probably have too. It's just par for the course. And after a while, doesn't it get old and kind of gets tired? The same old stuff, and you realize and wonder, where's all the good stuff? Right? That's what I think too. And that's why I want to focus on the good. Because it's real easy. We could certainly get into the agenda in life where we always look at the negative stuff, but that doesn't do us any good. And then when we're reminded that looking at the positive stuff is what helps us to get to the places of positivity we want to be, kind of makes it seem like it's a really simple formula. You want positive, do positive, think positive, look towards positive directions. You want anything else, look in that direction. And so I try to go by the philosophy that we should be informed and stay informed about what's going on, because we don't want to be stupid. We don't want to be caught like a deer in the headlights. But once we're informed, then we should be able to move on with other aspects of our life, because we don't need to harp on the old situation. I don't need to tell you every day that politicians lie, do I? You already know that. We all know that. So it's not a surprise to hear a story about a lie, because all they are is distractions. So rather than be distracted by a lie, I'd rather just move forward, ignore their lie, and eventually just, they'll be replaced by the next person who will come in and lie just like they did. It's just a really cool system they have of liars, liars, and more liars. But we the people can be positive. What creates the human aura energy field, and how is it kept in balance? This comes to us from In5D, Dmitry. All humans have brains, but there are not so many who know how to use them effectively in order to harmoniously evolve together with nature. There is also the human heart, which carries out vital functions of the human body. Human heart has to go through the challenging process of refining the feelings and emotions so that we can enjoy a quality life. The argument of what is more important, the human heart or the human brain, has been a cornerstone between scientific minds and followers of spiritual beliefs. What should govern human life, rational way of thinking or emotional? Should we listen to our intellect or follow our hearts? It seems that it is almost impossible to combine both of them, just like fire and water. Too much fire can turn water into air, and too much water can put the fire down. However, if you really know how to use both, you can find a way to have them work in a powerful synergy and create a steam engine. Nevertheless, scientists, who would most likely argue that human brain is more significant than the human heart. After all, there is the rational explanation that the human brain is more complicated than the human heart. One of the main functions of the human brain is to receive and transmit information, which gives humans a chance to communicate with surrounding environment. Due to the work of the human brain, we know how our skin feels when we touch something. We know how the birds sing when they do. We know how flowers smell. We know how a strawberry tastes. The human brain is needed to transform our thoughts into words. It also allows us to control the movement of our body and its parts in many cases. We really do take for granted the power of the human brain and what it can do. If we look at the human heart, it may actually seem that it has only one major function to the human body, to pump blood. Nevertheless, the human heart is an extraordinary organ that works as long as we live. While the human brain is involved and complicated, the human heart sends extra blood to the areas of the brain that needs more power. When the human brain shuts down, our heart can only beat for a few seconds, and if our heart stops, then supposedly we have up to 5 minutes to turn it back on. This observation is used by many as a proof that the human brain is more significant for human life than one human heart. However, the human heart is what makes us feel and be human. With the help of the human heart, we can interact with the world on the emotional level. Human heart is what can make us compassionate, allow us to express kindness and care for something other than our own survival. More importantly, human heart is the reason that we can feel love. Many people on their spiritual path believe that love is the only true way to the enlightenment and that the brain should always listen to the heart, but that is just tilting the vessel to one side and making it go in circles without noticing the need for balance in order to go forward or spiral of spiritual growth and evolution. So why should there be an argument against which is more important when they can both working together to benefit? Wouldn't it be more effective to find a model that can explain how both the human heart and the human brain work together to create our experience of life? New scientific field of infosomatics, some would rather refer to it as pseudo or spiritual science, and the research of the International Institute of Social Ecology gives us an easy to understand model that explains how the human brain and the human heart interact with the energy informational field. This theory does not really contradict the existing scientific or esoteric models. It actually expands them and takes them to a higher level of consciousness. To understand this model, we just have to see a human body in form of electromagnetic waves, where the human brain is a complicated radar system that can perceive information and transform into energy, while the human inertia heart is a power generator that creates an environment for the needed information to be transformed. There are human brain zones that are responsible for different functions of the human body. When the human brain receives waves of information from the surrounding environment, it transforms into energy and sends it all over our body through the biological active points. This energy is what forms energy centers for chakras in esoteric literature that are responsible for certain organs and systems of the human body. The work of these energy centers is what forms human aura energy fields or energy shell. The human heart, together with the heart chakra, create an emotional shell above our human aura. Here's what it looks like. The emotional shell is responsible for the amount of flat parallel cosmic rays that our brain can conceive. Emotional shell functions like a magnifying lens that concentrates the rays on top of our head, the crown chakra and esoteric teachings, so our brain can process them. Emotional shell is powered by the emotions generated by the work of the human heart and the heart chakra. The more positive emotions we experience in life, the bigger our emotional shell is. When you have a big emotional shell, it happens when you are true to yourself and positive towards things that happen in your life. Your physical body gets sick a lot less. Big emotional shell ensures a large number of rays that your brain can then transform into energy. This process makes human aura energy field much more stable to external harmful influences from the surrounding environment. Human aura energy field is just like an atmosphere of the planet. It protects our physical body from the meteor showers and asteroids that can harm the surface of the planet. Besides, those contemporary scientific research claims that people who have a positive outlook on life do get sick much less than those who have a less positive emotions in their life. The model gives us a great explanation of how mutual work of the human brain and the human heart follows us, allows us to interact with the surrounding environment, and creates our life that we can enjoy to the fullest. All right, here's a nice little video, 5 minutes 58 seconds worth of information for you to check it out over this weekend. All right, so there you have it. And that brings us to our channeled message for today. And today, the channeled message comes to us from Jesus, or Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene. Here we go.
Jesus the Christ, and Mary Magdalene.
By Jennifer Snell, May 6, 2015.
Greetings, dear ones. This is Jesus the Christ and Mary Magdalene. We come through together in love and in light. We wish to speak to you today about remembering. Remembering your true spiritual gifts, the gifts that you came into this lifetime with, as well as the gifts you have learned in other lifetimes. Now is the time to wake up to these mysteries. Many of you studied in the mystery schools of different civilizations throughout eons of time: Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, South America, Peru, India, the British Isles, France, and many, many more. We know that many of you are being awoken to these insights, and it is time to move forward in your true life's purpose as healers, as way showers, as leaders. Now is the time. Now is the time for the family of light to come forth from the shadow and shine your light for all to see. You will be nudged in these directions and it will flow easily. This is how you will know your true calling. It will just happen effortlessly. You do not have to think, you do not have to analyze, it will just happen. Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul's calling. Now is the time. The fear of being different from others around you, the fear of being not qualified enough, these are all of the human condition. Notice signs around you. These can come in many forms, but you will know as nothing is just a coincidence. It is time for you to come into your full power as a healer and a teacher. Just ask for our help and we will assist you in all ways possible. Dear ones, this lifetime is the beginning of the Aquarian Age, the Golden Age. It is a rebirthing of the old ways, the ancient ways of alchemy and divine magic. It is your birthright to use these energies for good, for the new earth, for the betterment of humanity. It is time to remember. It is time to remember the ancient teachings that you already know inside yourself, the teachings of the ancient mystery schools that you attended. They are stored like a library in your heart. It is time now to descend into your heart and open up these libraries of creation. They are magnificent and they are beautiful. Go inside the depths of your soul and ask yourself, what am I here to do? What do I really enjoy doing? What gives me fulfillment and passion? What makes my heart sing? We encourage now to answer these questions for yourself. The Divine Father and Divine Mother energy is now flowing into the planet Gaia like rivers of golden light. All you have to do is tap into that light by opening your hearts. Your heart is your holy grail. Please call on us for assistance and we will help you with these questions. We love you. Jesus the Christ and Mary Magdalene.
Very nice message from Jesus and Mary about understanding our purpose, who we are, what we're about. Basically remembering. Remember who we are. Alright, this is the Warrior of Light, page 72. A warrior of light unwittingly takes a false step and then plunges into the abyss. Ghosts frighten him and solitude torments him. His aim has been to fight the good fight, and he has never imagined that this would happen to him. But it did. Shrouded in darkness, he makes contact with his master. Master, I have fallen into the abyss, he says. The waters are deep and dark. Remember one thing, replies the master. You do not drown simply by plunging into the water. You only drown if you stay beneath the surface. And the water uses all of his strength to escape from his predicament. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. and exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. Another deep breath. And exhale. I want you to imagine yourself that you're walking along the path. You're walking along a pier, and then you step off the pier into the water and you drop below the water. And just like the warrior, you wonder what will happen. And the voice says, you will not drown if you rise above your problems, if you rise from underneath the water. So you do. And as you rise above to the surface, you realize that life exists. And that we are able to rise above any situation. And that this is but one example. So we move through life knowing that whatever happens, the emotions, the ideas of life, sometimes they get us down, but we rise above them. So imagine as we move through life, no matter what happens, that we move through it smoothly, gracefully, and easily. Imagine sending love and light into the world to those that we know who are having challenges, that they might find peace and solutions to their problems. And we just send positive vibes into the world this day, that all people are able to absorb the positivity around them and live a good, happy, peaceful day that leads to a good, happy, peaceful weekend. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of just sending out positive vibes into the world, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it. That is our show for today, for the week. Weekend is upon us. Go have some fun. We got a new moon starting this weekend, so an opportunity to begin a fresh cycle in one area. Remember, life is just energies upon energies that are moving in cycles within cycles, and all we have to do is find a way to get in sync with it. To dance with life, my friends, to dance with life. That's it. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back next week. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.